Sí, bueno, pero
All right. We'll talk about that paper that passed out in a minute. Some of the new chevrons. We'll talk about that after we do this fire safety real quick. So. Ugh. Read this quiz real quick. Let's work through it as a group. Behind what I want to do. And after that, I'll talk about the Chevron spill. And then the gauge guys, the Chevron spill, we did not see also.
Yeah.
All right. All right, we'll just go through it as a group, like I said, we're running a little behind, we're going into the weeds. So, number one, basic fire theory says that a fire needs four main elements in order to start. Heat, fuel, exhaust, oxygen, and blank. Yep, C, chain reaction. For those of you that have been doing it long enough, you remember the days when it was just the three of them, it's the fire triangle. Now they say that, it's that reaction in the middle is what causes it, right? All right, number two, fire detection systems are the blank line of defense in any fire protection program. Any guesses? First. Yeah, first, A. Number three, blank are one of the most dependable ways to fight a fire. Guesses? B, right? Automatic sprinkler systems. Why do you guys think that is?
You don't have to do it.
You're not having to do it yourself, right? You're not having to put yourself in danger to put it out. All right, number four, portable fire extinguishers should only be used for the blank stage of a fire. Beginning, right? Anybody know the rule of thumb for like the size of the form that you should fight before you with the fire extinguisher? The biggest you can fight? Anybody? Usually they say like a trash can or so, like 5-gallon bucket, something like that, right? It depends on the size of it. 25ers can handle more, right? But that's usually the rule of thumb. Anything larger than that, you shouldn't be using the fire extinguisher on it. You're not going to be able to put it out, right? Now, what's the other purpose of the fire extinguisher? For us on locations. Is it to put out a fire or is it something else? Escape, right? It's not meant to put out the fire necessarily. Like if those of us that work in cabs, right? If the cab lights on fire for some reason, you can't get out. And you either have a fire extinguisher in there with you or your helper needs the one on the outside and helps you get out, whatever. It's not about putting it out, right? You're just trying to get out of danger. So it's totally about that. Doesn't always have to be for the fighting or the fires, right? Also be from the escape. That's what it's meant for. All right, number five. Fire blank is based on the type of fuel, used to feed fire. B, classification. Number six, fire extinguishers are classified using the blank classification system. Anybody? D, National Fire Protection Association, NFPA. Number seven, fire extinguishers have a short use period of about blank. A, 8 to 15 seconds. Now, obviously, that depends on the size. It depends on if you've been taking care of it properly. Because if you haven't been, like we do those monthlies where we tip them up, we dislodge that powder. If you don't do that, you've got a fire extinguisher on the truck and you're running up and down bumpy roads. That propellant, and that powder separate. Then all you do is you get a little shot of gas and then nothing. So that's why it's important to check your stuff. But it just depends on how the size of it is and if you take care of it. Number 8, to extinguish a small fire, use the blank method. C, fast. Does anybody remember what it stands for?
Oh, aim to squeeze sweet.
Now, the reason it says a small fire, once again, is because obviously, if you're fighting, you shouldn't be fighting a large fire, right? Number 9, your company must develop blank routes for different locations in your facility. Yep, A, emergency escapes. And number 10, Your main responsibility during an emergency is blank. D. Now, does that necessarily just apply to fire extinguishers, or does that apply to everything else, right? If you're on location and something bad happens, you know, we were talking about it yesterday doing the drills with Chevron. Back off fails, you're blowing gas and oil and everything. You can't safely shut it down, what should you do?
Wait.
Get the hell out of there, right? What's most important on that location is, well, so, it's ourselves, right? We got oil in well.
The well, I mean, it's a rating. Yeah, well.
So keep that in mind. All right, the Chevron deal. Now, granted, this was addressed mostly to the SWAT guys at the time, but going forward, we're gonna start doing this on all the Chevron tickets. Now, some of you guys haven't really worked on Chevron yet, some of you guys don't work on Chevron very often, but everybody can see it, that way we all know. So the main thing they're looking for, because of the way they're changing stuff, is for those of you that don't know, is Chevron, when we're rigging up, doing all of our work, stuff like that, we have what's called start work checks that we have to fill out every morning or every time we do something, depending on the situation. This is an example of what they want sent to them, either through text message for us on the swap site or through the ticketing system. So that part applies for both slip line and swabbing. But for the swabbing side, this is going to be part of your morning report, sending it out saying that, hey, I've completed the start work checks, the necessary ones, which for those of you that don't know, it's lifting and rigging, energy isolation, and de-energizing, re-energizing, excuse me. So those are the three that have to be done. Now, when we do this, like I said, for those of us on the swap side, we need to attach that to our text messages in the morning, so that way they know. We also need to attach that we've checked the ground, it roamed out, the continuity was good, and that there was something else. What was it? Exclusion zone, sorry about that. Exclusion zone was established, and then the pressure test. Now, the pressure test includes your quick test stuff and the initial pressure test that you do with the lubricator when you hook up. You open it up to make sure that you have a tree connection, or whatever, you know, phone fittings not leaking, that kind of stuff. And that's just using your tubing pressure, although it has good tubing pressure. Don't have good tubing pressure, you need to be using casing. Can't use casing for some reason, like you've got a check valve on them, something like that. But you need to let them know that, hey, we're unable to pressure test it per se because of, you know, hey, tubing's at zero, and the casing, you know, I've got a check valve there and I don't have a jump. So that way they can know and they can identify whether they need to come by and jump it, different scenarios there. But for the normal, this is what needs to be on the morning text message for those of us that are swabbing Chevron. Slick line guys, this is gonna be on your ticket. It's gonna be part of your job description. So like, hey, you know, drove the location, spotted it, and before you rig up, you need to do that lifting, you know, lifting rigging. So you'll put that in there, hey, lifting rigging, start work check, blah, blah, rig it up. Now, I know a lot of times we're not, you know, necessarily doing that on the job description for you guys, but it's gonna change a little bit because of this. This is not coming from just the swap guys. I know there's those names on it, but this is per conversation with Kevin. Kevin, if those of you that don't know, is everybody's boss on that site. So if you're the boss,
Why can't you say that it's on his plumbing sites?
because that's the email that was sent out, we just sent it to those guys, but it came from a meeting with Kevin. Like I said, Kevin is everybody's boss, he's Lauren's boss, he's everybody else's boss now. So what he says goes, it doesn't matter what, you know, we were talking about the other day that, you know, Dwayne may do these few things, and it's not a bad thing, I'm just saying, let's say he does these few things, concentrates on this. Dwayne might concentrate on this, Lauren might concentrate on that. Kevin wants it to be across the board, and then I'll try to get to it. But whatever Kevin says, that's his word is law. If the rest of the guys, if they say, hey, we're not gonna do that, it doesn't matter, because we're getting told by Kevin to do something, so we're gonna do it that way. So like I said, this is how it's gonna go. Now, right now, we don't have these built into due forms yet. But we will. And all it is, just like everything else, just the rig up or run metering or whatever, it would be just a selection in there. But right now, we're gonna have to hand But you gotta make sure that we're doing all that every single time. It's not like the conversation we had last week. Whatever they want, if they say, hey, we're gonna do this, you know, you're gonna stand there, like, oops, sorry. I mean, yeah, and I hate to say it that way, but to a certain degree, that's like, when it comes to that safety side of things, if they want something done and they want it done a certain way, that's how we're gonna do it. So that goes with, you know, obviously doing the proper steps and everything like, you know, throwing the ground on with them is not good. You have to test it every single time. If you go from a well to well to well, you have to test that ground every single time you change wells. Every day you have to